The Game Awards is one of the most, if not the most, prestigious events in the gaming industry. With awards that honor everything from narrative to musical score, the ceremony always sees the biggest titles competing for recognition. However, one of the most popular and exciting elements of the event is the new game reveals. This section of the Game Awards is usually jam-packed with game trailers, hotly anticipated rumor confirmations, and most importantly, world premiere announcements. It seems the future is just as bright, as this year's Game Awards featured several world premieres that got gamers excited for all of the releases yet to come. I am only going to discuss and give updates about some of the important reveals at the show. Not all of them, because it is a longish show and everything featured there is not for me, so let's jump in. The Game Awards has once again delivered a show full of world premiere announcements for fans to enjoy. Among them comes a new roguelite that touts hand-drawn animation and a charming world for players to hack and slash away in. Of course, the game is going to be filled with challenges, as the genre practically invites players to die. True to the nature of the title, its developers have given it a rather fitting name: Have a Nice Death. The new title is being developed by Magic Design Studios, who came out with Unruly Heroes back in 2019. Its publisher is Perfect World Entertainment, and the lead on Dead Cells sits on the team as a consultant. The Game Awards world premiere trailer sees players go through what it's like to run an office in the underworld in the best way possible. In Have a Nice Death, the players become death themselves. Where fellow roguelites Returnal and Hades featured sci-fi and Greek mythology, Have a Nice Death puts players in charge of processing souls and checking in on the many employees of Death Incorporated. Since people die on a routine basis, many of the creatures and monsters working under Death may be just as overworked as Death himself is, and be unruly. This is where we need to swing our scythe and cut them down to size before meeting the end of our run. The trailer shown at the event makes the game look incredibly impressive, but fans might need to wait a bit more to have the game in their hands. So far, the game is only confirmed for a PC release on Steam, with other consoles to be announced at a later date. The game is going to be available for $14.99 on early access in March 2022, with Steam Deck support. Have a Nice Death looks to be a rather inspired roguelite, and offers an interesting take on the formula in the sense of using Death's inability to die to fuel the mechanic. The game also seems to be carrying a sort of tongue-in-cheek humor style with it, which will entertain and get a few laughs out of many fans once the game is launched. For fans of the genre, this may be a game many of them might want to keep their eyes on. I like the art style of the game, the music is very good, the combat and abilities look great, and it is really a unique one. Have a Nice Death releases on Steam Early Access in March 2022. Next up, Gun Interactive, the team behind Friday the 13th The Game, announces the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a multiplayer experience based on the 1974 film. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the all-time classic horror movies, but not one with very many video game adaptations. Fans will be getting up close and personal with Leatherface in the upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre multiplayer game. Despite the franchise's legacy in the cinema, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has not frequented the video game scene until recently. Leatherface is an icon of the horror genre, and has naturally been a great fit in a game like Dead by Daylight that revolves around monsters hunting human prey. There have been more outlandish appearances by the character though, such as in Call of Duty Warzone as an operator during its haunting of Verdansk event, and Mortal Kombat X. At the Game Awards 2021, Gun Interactive and Sumo Nottingham revealed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a new multiplayer game based on the 1974 film. The trailer features many of the iconic images and shots that have lingered in the minds of many for all these years, from the desolate and foreboding exterior of the house to the dingy and unkept interiors. It may not be clear for some the material this game is based on until nearly the trailer's end, as someone hangs upside from the ceiling, blood dripping into a bucket when a shadowy figure begins revving their chainsaw, it being none other than Leatherface himself. Gun Interactive and Sumo Nottingham's last title was the popular Friday the 13th, The Game multiplayer title. Like that game, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an asymmetrical multiplayer title that will likely pit survivors against the chainsaw-wielding psychopath in a furious fight for survival. The developers are committed to accurately and authentically capturing the original 1970 for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, and what has continued to make it scary to this day. Darren Campion, executive producer at Sumo Nottingham on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, speaks about their excitement. The cult classic has been terrifying and spellbinding people for over 40 years, and we're thrilled with how the game is developing. We cannot wait for fans old and new to become part of this truly authentic experience. Classic slasher actor Kane Hodder will be reprising his role as Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game. Although Kane Hodder is best known for playing Jason Voorhees in 4 of the Friday the 13th movies and Friday the 13th the game, he also served as the stunt double for Leatherface in Leatherface the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Fans may be pleased to see this veteran of the horror genre back in the saddle, and helping to bring another towering slasher icon to life. While what the game will play like is still unknown, based on the trailer, it's clear that Gun Interactive and Sumo Nottingham have an understanding of what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game should look like. The scenery of the game is nearly identical to that of the original film, from the environment to the lighting, evoking a similar fear that the film continues to do. If running from Jason in Friday the 13th the game was scary, running from Leatherface is going to be a whole other beast, and it is next gen only. Atlus has been teasing all sorts of announcements for the Persona franchise, since the developer mentioned it had 7 planned reveals for the series' 25th anniversary. While the inaugural anniversary reveal of new merchandise and celebratory concerts was a bit disappointing to some, the developer also teased the next major anniversary reveal would be coming in December. While many were expecting news of a new port or remaster, like Persona 5 Royal on PC or Switch or a Persona 3 remaster, Atlus remained largely silent on what the next anniversary reveal would be. Now, that upcoming announcement has finally come to fruition at the Game Awards 2021. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, the 2013 Arc System Works developed fighting game based on the investigation team's action-packed return to the Shadow World. Persona 4 Arena quickly became one of the most popular fighting games for its time, and capitalized on the enduring popularity of its JRPG foundation, Persona 4. The Arena Ultimax version was the PS3, Xbox 360 enhanced release and partial sequel to the original game, bringing with it a new sequel story, new characters from Persona 3 and Persona 4, as well as fresh balance updates for the entire expanded roster. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax acts as a spin-off based on the events after Persona 4 Golden, highlighting a new Shadow World inviting the investigation team to a combat tournament known as the P1 Grand Prix. This port of Arena Ultimax will include not only the new content from the Ultimax version, but will also include the story from the original 2012 release of Persona 4 Arena as well. Fighters get to play through visual novel-style vignettes for each character, gradually unraveling the expanded story around the mysterious competition in the TV world. While it's not quite the Persona 5 fighting game announcement rumors and reports had been hinting at, this may be Atlus' way of gauging interest for the potential spin-off treatment extending to the Phantom Thieves as well. That being said, fans of Persona 4's anime fighter spin-off will likely be excited to hop back into the game again, after all this time being stuck on last-gen platforms. Atlus has just now uploaded a new video titled Persona 25th Times Volume 2 on its YouTube channel, that goes over some of these new projects. Volume 1 of this series was hosted by Morigana from Persona 5, but this time fans are greeted by Teddy from Persona 4. Teddy first shares some details regarding the remaster of P4AU, including its story as well as gameplay mechanics. He then shows a massive list of DLC that will be part of this remastered release, before announcing that owners of Persona 4 Golden on Steam can get Persona 4 Arena Ultimax at a discounted rate. Teddy then reveals that the official soundtracks of Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 Scramble will be on sale from February 22, 2022, while also available on streaming services. The final 2 announcements include new merchandise and special events at the Sega Collab Cafe in Japan, but before signing off, Teddy mentions that more projects for Persona's 25th anniversary celebrations will be revealed soon. Atlus had released the OSTs from previous Persona games on streaming services earlier this year, but P5R and P5S were missing, as they were both relatively recent releases. Fans will now be able to complete the set in February 2022. While Persona 4 Arena Ultimax being available on modern systems is indeed great news, some fans were hoping for the announcement of a new fighting game featuring Persona 5 characters. Any big announcements are perhaps being saved for the future, and Atlus will probably let the audience know whenever it is ready to reveal new games in the Persona series.
Oh, how steamy!
One of the impressive showing at the Game Awards is Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga has been announced for a while, but fans have hardly seen any of it in action. However, that has now changed, as Hellblade 2 got its first gameplay trailer during the Game Awards 2021, and it looks like one of the most visually impressive games. The first major reveal during the show, the new Hellblade 2 gameplay shows off protagonist Senua as she attempts to take down a giant with a group of warriors. The giant, already injured, puts up quite the fight, killing many of Senua's allies as they light it on fire with flaming spears. Most impressively, the trailer looks like it could be a cinematic in any other game, though it's apparently all real gameplay. For those that played the first Hellblade, that likely won't come as a surprise. Of course, Hellblade's story is a bit more complicated than just this trailer. The franchise had noble beginnings back in 2017, when Ninja Theory released the first game as a bite-sized but stellar experience. It was one of the first games to ever represent psychosis in an authentic manner, making it a core mechanic throughout the game. It doesn't seem like Hellblade 2 will abandon that element either. Throughout the trailer, we hear the voices that have plagued Senua since the first entry. With how central they were to Senua's development in the first entry, it'll be interesting to see how Senua handles it in the new game, and how it affects the journey along the way. Mental health issues aren't tackled in games that frequently, at least not in tactful ways, so it's good to see it handled properly in a game like this. Hellblade 2 just needs to continue the trend. Unfortunately, there's still no release date attached to Hellblade 2 or even a release window. However, even though there's so little known about it, it seems like it will be one of the de facto games for showing off what next-gen hardware can accomplish, at least visually. Even though I am impressed with the environment, lighting and effects, I am disappointed with the character models of Senua and her allies. The character model looks downgraded from the original showing, and I have also seen better character models from last-gen games such as The Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, and God of War. Aside from that, I am also disappointed with the animation on the combat, as throwing the spear and the damage on the giant doesn't coordinate in a right way. We also need to see more gameplay, as combat and puzzles were major criticisms for Hellblade. I hope they show more gameplay elements soon, and I need to see what innovation they made in the gameplay elements. Aside from that, it is a great looking game, and I hope to get a release date soon. Star Wars Eclipse is the latest project coming from Quantic Dream, giving fans their first look into High Republic era of Star Wars. Quantic Dream officially revealed the game at the Game Awards 2021, offering a glimpse into Star Wars' future, or rather its past. The High Republic era of Star Wars is a time long before the events of the films and adventures the series is most well known for. Not to be confused with the Old Republic, which is thousands of years before the films, the High Republic is set only a couple hundred years prior to the prequel trilogy. This period was introduced and named following Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, and has primarily been explored through novels and comic books. Star Wars Eclipse was rumored to be in development for some time, and I got excited at the potential of a Quantic Dream title set in the Star Wars universe. In typical Quantic Dream fashion, the game is set to offer a vast and highly replayable narrative thanks to its large characters and branching paths. While some familiar faces and locations appear in the trailer, like potentially Yoda on Coruscant, Star Wars Eclipse is exploring new parts of the galaxy that haven't been seen before. According to Quantic Dream, the game is set in the Outer Rim featuring never-before-seen species and planets and is rife with opportunity and political tensions. Quantic Dream's last title was Detroit Become Human, an ambitious science fiction title that centered on the affairs between humans and androids. Gameplay often involves walking around locations to interact with objects and other characters, intense conversation sections where every decision matters, and quick-time events that are bound to either please or frustrate players. Such a wide cast of characters presents an opportunity for atypical gameplay experiences though, as some will have unique abilities and change up the game. With so many characters and decisions to be made, there are many different outcomes for the game's narrative, meaning no two first playthroughs are bound to be alike. It's time to add game to the list of Star Wars projects in development. From the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, to LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, there are so many titles for fans to look forward to in the coming years. While the trailer failed to show any actual gameplay, this new project has already made a buzz in the industry. Unfortunately, details have been uncovered suggesting fans might be waiting a long time to play the title. Tom Henderson is a prominent industry insider who has made many reputable leaks about games over the years. In a December 10th tweet from the industry insider, fans learned several possible details about the timeline for the in-development title. Eclipse is believed to be around 3 to 4 years away, Henderson said. If this projected wait wasn't already bad enough, he revealed that this was the minimum amount of time necessary to complete the development of the project. Sadly, this means that despite the breathtaking trailer unveiled, the game is likely only in the early stages of production. In addition to this possible release window, Henderson had details about the story for the game. While most of the information regarding the plot remains unknown, besides the fact that it takes place during the High Republic era, this recent tweet unveiled the team handling the writing. According to Henderson, Quantic Dream Paris is working on the story. In addition, he claimed that David Cage is playing a substantial role in crafting the narrative. Besides these details, there was also an update on the status of developer Quantic Dream. Based on the information from Henderson, it seems that Quantic Dream Paris is having difficulty filling positions at the studio. According to the industry insider, the developer currently has over 60 job openings at its Paris location, with 9 more in Montreal. While the reason for the shortage of employees wasn't mentioned, it could have to do with the controversy-filled history of Quantic Dream. It's worth noting that this information regarding a release window for Star Wars Eclipse has yet to be confirmed by the developer, meaning this release date could be inaccurate. However, it seems like it has a reasonable shot of being correct, given Henderson's track record. After all, he predicted a new Star Wars game from Quantic Dream was in development several months ago. Regardless, time will tell what the future holds for this upcoming game set in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Eclipse is going to fulfill a particular void with its high focus on storytelling as well as its ambitious foray as the first game set within the High Republic era. It will be some time before it releases, but thankfully there are many other Star Wars games coming prior to its release. This project won't be like any other Star Wars game in recent memory, as Star Wars Eclipse will be set in the franchise's new High Republic era. Set about 200 years before the events of the prequel films, the High Republic started as a new publishing initiative for Star Wars that included branching stories across various novels and comic books. The era has since built up a solid readership of Star Wars fans that are enamored with learning more about what happened before the Skywalker Saga, and Star Wars Eclipse has an excellent opportunity to expand on the High Republic in a way that could bring a lot more attention to it. The centerpiece of the entire High Republic era is the prosperity of the Galactic Republic, and the strength of the Jedi Order at the time. The prevalence of the Order is much stronger than it is in the core Star Wars films, as the Jedi are made up of hundreds of members spread across the galaxy. Because of the general peace of the time, the Jedi truly followed the Peacekeeper moniker that is so frequently mentioned throughout the franchise, only taking up violence as an absolute last resort. It's a much different time compared to the Clone Wars, as Jedi were able to serve as more dignified symbols of light for the rest of the galaxy. Seeing as the High Republic takes place long before any films, there are a lot of new faces for fans to get attached to. Jedi Master Avar Kriss is one of the characters that the High Republic puts particular focus on, as she serves as a sort of representation of the Jedi's values at the time. The one point of familiarity in the era is that Yoda is still revered as one of the most powerful Jedi in the Order at the time, looking somewhat younger, but still displaying a similar level of wisdom. Overall, it's a side of the Jedi that hasn't been touched on much in other Star Wars canon, making it a fresh perspective for many fans. While a couple hundred years may not seem like a long time when Star Wars lore can reach back thousands of years, the state of the galaxy is much different in the High Republic compared to the prequel films. The Galactic Republic is in a general state of peace, but there are many parts of the galaxy that still haven't been widely explored yet. In order to expand to these territories, the Republic builds an installation called Starlight Beacon that is meant to serve as a nexus for travel and commerce. The plan is to build numerous similar installations throughout the galaxy, so that the light of the Republic might touch every known system. The galaxy is also technologically different in almost every aspect. Hyperspace travel, while not necessarily new, has an uncertainty to it that makes every jump to light speed seem a little more dangerous than when Han Solo would make his escapes from the Empire. In addition to some other more primitive pieces of technology, there is a general sense that the galaxy is still in a stage of growth, and that there is a long way to go before the galaxy is in the state that it's in by the time of the Phantom Menace. There's a prevailing air of mystery, which could help Star Wars Eclipse stand out from other Star Wars titles. With how wide the Star Wars galaxy is, the Republic is bound to run into some unsavory faces, and the High Republic has them in droves. Considering there is no Confederacy or Empire, one of the main antagonists in the High Republic is a group of raiders known as the Nihil. The Nihil use brutal, unorthodox methods to ravage large ships or entire planets, and the group ends up on the Republic's radar thanks to their involvement in the Great Disaster, a tragic hyperspace incident. They have little regard for themselves, and even less regard for those that oppose them, making them a particularly dangerous threat for the Jedi. Militaristic adversaries aren't the only threat in the High Republic, as the era is also marked by something much more monstrous. Known as the Drengr, this malevolent force is perhaps one of the biggest threats to the Jedi Order and the galaxy at large. The Drengr are a carnivorous plant-like species that spread darkness, which is in some ways stronger than the dark side of the Force itself. The Drengr had been kept dormant for centuries before the events of the High Republic, but unfortunate circumstances led to their release and conquest for food across the galaxy, a conquest that the Jedi must do all they can to put to an end. There aren't any solid details on Star Wars Eclipse other than that it will be some kind of action-adventure game. That being said, Eclipse's cinematic reveal trailer painted a pretty picture of how it could be taking advantage of the High Republic and showing a side of Star Wars that has seldom been seen in video games. With Knights of the Old Republic remake also in development, now is the perfect time to be a fan of the deeper parts of Star Wars lore, and time will tell if Star Wars Eclipse can bring the High Republic to tremendous new heights. Speaking of stars, Dramatic Labs joins several other developers at the Game Awards unveiling its debut project Star Trek Resurgence, a third-person adventure. Several games that take place in the Star Trek universe have been released over the years, and a new one known as Star Trek Resurgence was just announced by Dramatic Labs at the Game Awards. Set in the era after Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Resurgence once again puts Star Trek fans in the shoes of a USS captain. Today during the Game Awards, Dramatic Labs joined several other developers in unveiling their debut title, Star Trek Resurgence. The game focuses on a crew stationed aboard the USS Resolute, and the decisions that players make will be crucial in saving the galaxy in this latest Star Trek adventure. Dramatic Labs emphasizes this decision-based aspect of the game in Star Trek Resurgence's reveal trailer alongside other aspects of the upcoming game. Star Trek Resurgence is a third-person adventure game that's coming to all of the major consoles and the Epic Games Store on PC in spring 2022, so Star Trek fans don't have a long wait for the next big sci-fi adventure. The game centers on two primary characters, while a crew remains a crucial aspect of the interstellar story. First Officer Jara Rydek has always dreamed of becoming a USS captain, and she's determined to take on difficult tasks for the Federation, while engineering crew person Carter Diaz merely always wanted to explore the galaxy. With how crucial teamwork is to the crew in any Star Trek story, Star Trek Resurgence's reveal trailer shows off just two of many characters that will be important to the plot and gameplay. Dramatic Labs showed off small pieces of gameplay in the reveal trailer, focusing on Diaz firing a phaser at electrically charged orbs clinging to the ship and Rydek using a tricorder to scan for hidden things such as palm prints. The trailer also shows one of the many decisions that the first officer will have to make in a doubtlessly tense situation in which she can choose to follow her orders or disobey her superiors. Dramatic Labs is a new independent game developer created by veterans from Telltale Games, the studio behind titles such as the Walking Dead series, The Wolf Among Us, and Tales from the Borderlands. Telltale Games was hit with mass layoffs back in 2018, and a number of developers that departed the studio moved on to Dramatic Labs. Telltale Games was able to rebound under new leadership, and that studio continues to work on titles like The Wolf Among Us 2 and a game based on the Expanse television series. While a player's decisions are notably at the core of Star Trek Resurgence, it's also an important aspect of most Telltale games. Because of their experience on big franchises with Telltale Games, Star Trek fans can rest assured that Dramatic Labs knows the importance of the franchise. Although the upcoming action game releases in the spring, little has been revealed about Star Trek Resurgence beyond the trailer featured during the Game Awards.
Prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Alan Wake launched back in 2010 as an action-adventure game with horror elements peppered throughout its cinematic storytelling. Remedy Entertainment recently released a remastered treatment for Alan Wake, giving a fresh generation of fans the potential to experience the series for the first time. Alan Wake was also featured as DLC for Remedy's Control, which further expanded the lore of Alan Wake and suggested to fans that the writer's story was not yet finished. Now, the Game Awards has given fans a first look at the next entry in the Alan Wake franchise. Remedy has revealed the cinematic announcement trailer for the highly requested Alan Wake 2 at the Game Awards. Alan Wake 2's reveal trailer is purely cinematic with CGI visuals, until a close-up shot of the eponymous Alan Wake shows actor Ilka Vilai in live action. Described by Remedy Entertainment's Sam Lake as a survival horror game, Alan Wake 2 will seemingly abandon its action-adventure roots for return to a more sinister and terrifying atmosphere, of which Alan Wake already excels. No gameplay has been shared, but a montage of familiar environments such as Bright Falls as well as unfamiliar, waterlogged environments paint horrific imagery for Alan Wake's official sequel. Alan Wake 2 is scheduled for a 2023 release window, which gives Remedy plenty of time with which to share development updates and gameplay at a later date. Indeed, if the game is being billed as a survival horror, it is likely that its gameplay will be reworked accordingly to meet that design. Alan speaks in narration over top of these montaged environmental shots and further elicits the tone that the sequel is going for. Alan Wake 2's trailer concludes with a haunting jump scare of an dubiously evil-looking Alan, which may or may not insinuate a darker reflection of the character that players may see in the sequel. Regardless, it is exciting for fans of Alan Wake and the recent Alan Wake remastered that they will be able to once again experience the author's world, this time with a much greater emphasis on horror. Alan Wake 2 is presented by Epic Games, confirming the rumor that Epic Games and Remedy were partnering for Remedy's next game. Alan Wake 2's reveal trailer is sure to excite fans of the IP, with a refurbished emphasis on survival horror being its largest point of intrigue for where the franchise may be taken. After the trailer, Jeff Keighley spoke with Remedy creative director Sam Lake about the sequel, revealing that Alan Wake 2 will be Remedy's first survival horror video game. Speaking with IGN, Lake further stated that Alan Wake 2 will by far be the best-looking, most beautiful Remedy game ever. It will run on Northlight, the same proprietary game engine that ran Control and Quantum Break. Northlight wasn't solely used due to how beautiful games looked when running on the engine though. Although Epic Games is publishing Alan Wake 2, Remedy won't be using Epic's much-publicized Unreal Engine 5. As Lake explains, Remedy opted to stick with Northlight in favor of Unreal Engine 5 due to familiarity with the engine, as well as believing that it will best fit the developer's vision for Alan Wake 2. We feel that especially for this kind of experience where atmosphere and stylization are more important than ever before, is that we know Northlight so well we can focus on certain things and push certain things forward. Alan Wake 2 will seemingly partially abandon, if not fully abandon the action aspect of the original, so the title will have to heavily rely on visuals as well as its atmosphere. Since Remedy is comfortable with Northlight, it will have the opportunity to go further with the game engine than it has previously. Games like Control and Quantum Break were both great-looking video games, but they were more visually interesting due to how Remedy used environments. Both titles relied heavily on Northlight's ability to create diverse and interesting environments that users could destroy, while also offering environments that seamlessly morphed and changed. Survival horror games need to get the atmosphere right in order for the title to succeed. With Lake's comments on the sequel, it looks as though fans won't have to worry about how the title will look. The trailer didn't showcase real gameplay footage, but still gave viewers an idea of the atmosphere that Remedy is going for. Additionally, the announcement trailer revealed that Alan Wake 2 will be a current-gen and PC-exclusive title, meaning any mechanics introduced in the game theoretically won't be limited by what previous generation consoles can handle. Judging from Lake's comments and the fact Alan Wake 2 won't release on previous-gen consoles, fans have a lot to be excited about. Remedy has been thinking about Alan Wake 2 ever since the first released back in 2010, and the developer's passion shows in its comments. Alan Wake 2 being a horror game means that it will be more intense than the original game, with the potential for players to encounter more disturbing content than they did before. This will be reflected by Alan Wake 2's ESRB rating. The official ESRB rating for Alan Wake 2 has not been announced and likely won't come until much closer to the game's release. But Remedy is going for an M for mature rating this time around, as opposed to the T for teen rating that the first game received. In the same interview with IGN, Lake called Alan Wake 2's M rating liberating, and that it means Remedy won't have to censor its vision. Needless to say, Alan Wake 2 has quickly become one to watch for fans of the horror genre, though it may be some time before we get another look at it with gameplay.
And monsters wear many faces.
One franchise I love the art direction in, Silent Hill. I hope we get a new one of those.
Speaking of horror, during an award introduction at the Game Awards, Guillermo del Toro makes mention of Silent Hill, sparking fan speculation. It's been 7 years since the release of PT, the playable teaser for Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima's Silent Hills franchise reboot/long-awaited sequel. Konami shut down the project long ago during Kojima's departure from the studio, but fans haven't ever given up on the idea of a follow-up to last entry to the Silent Hill franchise, and it seems that Guillermo del Toro hasn't, either. Guillermo del Toro made a brief appearance in the form of a pre-recorded video at the Game Awards 2021, in order to introduce both this year's Best Art Direction award as well as a trailer for his upcoming project, Nightmare Alley. However, it's the name drop that Guillermo del Toro noted in his introduction that made Silent Hill fans take notice. Following an introduction from Hideo Kojima, which has stirred up even more fan fervor, Guillermo del Toro gave a brief speech prior to revealing the winner of gaming's Best Art Direction. Prior to the reveal though, he briefly mentioned Silent Hill, stating, one franchise I love the art direction in, Silent Hill. I hope we get a new one of those. He then shrugged before moving on. Sadly, that's all the information that fans got out of Del Toro, and it leaves a lot to speculate over. I am wondering if something is still going on with Silent Hill and both Kojima and Del Toro, which may be what he was implying with this comment. However, it seems just as likely that Del Toro is simply taking the opportunity to poke at Konami, which still hasn't officially revealed any kind of sequel or follow-up to the franchise after all these years. Of course, the lack of concrete information hasn't stopped rumors. Just a couple months ago, rumors arose that Kojima was working on Silent Hill once again, but they were discredited by other insiders in the industry. Beyond that, however, other rumors have claimed that multiple Silent Hill projects may be in the works, potentially under the umbrella of aside developers. In the meantime, it's become clear that fans are still desperate for a new game, the abandoned tease to beliefs that the game's title, and even developer were just a cover for a new Silent Hill. For now, we will just have to keep hoping, but we can at least take comfort in knowing that one of the leads of the cancelled Silent Hill's reboot project is pining among them. Speaking of Silent Hill creator Keiichiro Toyama reveals the first game from his new bokeh game studio, a bizarre horror game called Slitterhead. In the midst of Sony downsizing its acclaimed Japan studio, some of its top talent jumped ship to explore other ventures. One such developer was Silent Hill creator Keiichiro Toyama, who created franchises like Gravity Rush and Siren while at Japan studio. Toyama is now head of Bokeh Game Studio, which is making a bizarre new horror game called Slitterhead that was just revealed at the Game Awards. The Slitterhead trailer at the Game Awards doesn't reveal any actual gameplay, but it does give fans an idea of what to expect from the game. It seems Slitterhead will feature humans transforming into deadly, winged, spider-like creatures that brutally murder whatever comes into their path. But unlike the protagonists of Toyama's other games like Silent Hill, it seems players won't be at a huge disadvantage when facing off against these monstrosities. On the contrary, Slitterhead shows what is presumably the main character wielding a sword formed out of blood and performing devil-may-cry-like attacks. It seems that while Slitterhead is still firmly rooted in horror, it will have more action than fans of Toyama's previous horror game work may be used to. Regardless, the trailer should have horror fans buzzing, especially when they see its creepy last shot. The last thing Game Awards viewers see in the Slitterhead trailer is a woman standing on a balcony, her head split open with a vertical row of sinister teeth inside. She then tucks this horrific sight away, folding her head back into its normal form. One has to imagine that the slit in her head and the similar looks on the other monsters in the Slitterhead trailer is where the game gets its strange name from. In the meantime, the Slitterhead trailer also confirmed another exciting detail about the game, and that is the involvement of composer Akira Yamaoka. Yamaoka previously collaborated with Toyama on the first Silent Hill game, and went on to work on the soundtrack for subsequent entries in the series. Most recently, Yamaoka worked on the Silent Hill-inspired The Medium, which was developed by Bloober Team and released earlier this year to mostly positive reviews. Yamaoka and Toyama reuniting for Slitterhead should drum up a lot of excitement for the game in the horror gaming community. Fans may need to see actual Slitterhead gameplay to be more confident in the game, but it seems to have been warmly received so far. I got a little bit disappointed that it is not a complete horror game. The same thing with Ghostwire Tokyo, as these guys are making horror games with a band tone. I don't prefer that, but I will give it a try. Okay, now let's focus on some indies here that are special. After a series of delays, Cuphead's long-awaited and highly anticipated DLC Cuphead the Delicious Last Course has finally received a release date. Gamers will return to the Inkwell Isles next summer. Started with a beautiful classic stage performance, revealed by a nearly 2-minute-long trailer, Cuphead the Delicious Last Course DLC trailer features a period-appropriate trailer of Cuphead, Mugman, and the newly playable Miss Chalice character heading to DLC Island, a previously undiscovered Inkwell Isle. The trailer promises more imaginative adversaries and environments for players to wallop, ranging from a massive yeti in snowy mountains, to western plains with a literal cowboy named Sheriff Winchester. The Cuphead DLC trailer also hints at new power-ups, courtesy of Chef Saltbaker. The trailer finally reveals Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course is launching on June 30, 2022. The official hard release date of Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course finally ends years of waiting for fans. The additional content was first announced at E3 back in 2018 with a teaser trailer showcasing Miss Chalice. While initially expected to arrive sometime in 2019, the DLC was delayed into 2020. Studio MDHR remained largely silent over the course of that year, eventually announcing the Cuphead content expansion wouldn't be ready until 2021. With an exact release date established, and a slew of all new content featured in the trailer, it looks like the DLC is finally going to happen. Cuphead is not only finally getting its DLC in 2022, but an animated TV series, set to debut sometime next year on Netflix. The Cuphead Show will feature the major players from the charmingly animated but notoriously difficult shooting platformer, including the Devil, Ms. Chalice, Elder Kettle, and more. Netflix released a sneak peek trailer of the 10-episode first season earlier this year, which also revealed the voice actor of King Dice to be Wayne Brady. While it's yet to be revealed what Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course's pricing will be, the immensely popular title is sure to have plenty of buyers. Upon its original release in 2017, Cuphead was met with critical fanfare, not only providing an extremely responsive and mechanically intuitive platformer, but also making that platformer appear beautifully unique with its 1930s-inspired hand-drawn animation art style. It didn't take long for Cuphead to be spread like wildfire, and its very boss designs definitely played an integral part in those discussions. The original Cuphead had a whopping 19 bosses, each with their own unique visual and mechanical design. From boxing frogs who threw coins from slot machines at the player, to the literal devil himself, Cuphead had no shortage of imagination and creativity. Thankfully, the long-awaited Delicious Last Course DLC looks as though it's going to carry on this same trend, at least if the latest Game Awards trailer is any indication. The first boss seen in the trailer appears to be some form of giant, residing in DLC's mountainous regions. The few seconds glimpse saw the Crockery Crusaders jump over tiny blue gnomes, avoid a swarm of flying geese, all while taking aim at the giant's reddened nose. This fight looks as though it might take after Cuphead's most brutal boss battles, where the stage is continuously filling with objects and creatures that want to distract and defeat the player. The winter theming of the stage, with snow coating the entire platform, also gives this boss fight an immediately unique visual design. The next boss showcased seems to be a magician of some sort, with the bearded, cloaked man flying above the team as he fires lighting down around them. The key moment of his brief gameplay slot was him pulling out a gigantic whale out of his hat, using it to smack the player characters on the ground beneath him. This fight seems to take place in an indoor, icy arena, with spooky snowmen cheering on the battle below. The design of these snowmen is vaguely reminiscent of the infamous clown in Betty Boop's Snow White, perhaps being in homage to the iconic dance sequence. Cuphead and the crew then head over to a desert-type environment, where they encounter Sheriff Winchester, a boss that really puts the word cow in cowboy. This anthropomorphic cow is briefly seen to be vacuuming up gold and bags of money from behind the player characters, giving them objects they need to avoid. This stage uses Cuphead's flying mechanics, putting the player in an airplane that slightly changes up movement speed and the character's abilities. The final boss shown off in the trailer is a literal interpretation of a knight chess piece, appearing as a horse in a full suit of armor. This battle appears to take place in a castle, with large windows and paintings adorning the arena. Here, Cuphead's parry mechanic is on full display, with the horse's mane turning pink and being countered by the player, an action which filled up the super meter in the original game. While the final number of bosses is not yet known, the 4 seen in this trailer are sure to give players more than enough challenge. Hopefully those new power-up cookies will be enough to keep players pushing through the onslaught.
DLC Island.
Sommerville is another game I'm excited about. A brand new trailer for the indie was shown off at the Game Awards, showing off more visuals and environments. Much like Playdead's titles, Limbo and Inside, Sommerville's main premise and art style share some similarities. To illustrate these similarities, abandoned areas like a playroom, as well as some of the sci-fi and dystopian elements are prevalent in the game's trailer. There is even a shot of a spaceship traveling through the area, scouring for any survivors. This influence is not unnoticed, considering one of Playdead's former CEOs, Dino Patti, is the executive producer and founder of Jumpship. To drive home the dystopian feel of the game, an unknown threat is showcased at various points throughout the trailer. For example, the presumed protagonist of Sommerville is spotted running away from a robotic dinosaur creature, where they are then saved by a mysterious figure. More shots of the trailer show off the game's other explorable levels and environments, including the protagonist being carried down a river before being dumped off the side of a waterfall. Based on what has been previously revealed about Sommerville, the protagonist will be accompanied by a series of companions, with the central theme revolving around making your family whole again. This trailer seems to continue these themes, as the protagonist and his family can be seen running away from a series of robots shooting at them through an abandoned city. Based on what fans have been shown, along with Patti's influence from Playdead's previous games, this game is looking to follow in its footsteps. This game is not coming to PlayStation, so people can look forward to it for the future or get it PC. There are many different indie games that will be releasing next year, with many of them looking quite gorgeous. Many of the ones that will be coming are looking quite promising too. Another one of these indie side-scrollers will be another gorgeous-looking game, known as Planet of Lana from indie developer Wishfully. Planet of Lana was first revealed earlier this year at the Summer Game Fest, complete with a trailer showing a young girl named Lana and her cat-like companion. The side-scroller also shows off Lana and her cat being pursued by something sinister, with spider-like robots chasing after her. The game then showed off a second trailer at the TheGameAwards, not only showing off more of the gameplay, but also the music being scored by Takeshi Furukawa, of The Last Guardian fame. According to Furukawa, after his work on The Last Guardian was finished, he met with the Swedish studio who shared its vision for Planet of Lana. The composer fell in love with the concept of the adventures with the heartfelt duo, coming on board the project. This was then followed by a new trailer of Planet of Lana, which gave fans a taste of what to expect regarding the game and its music. This new Planet of Lana trailer showed off Lana riding on the back of one of the spider-like robots that was shown off in the previous trailer, crossing the planet's surface. She has however attacked a series of robots while traveling through the desert, with many of the robots ranging in shapes and sizes. They all seem to be pursuing her for an unknown reason, all the while Furukawa's bombastic score being played in the background. The ending shot of the trailer shows Lana face down in the dirt after being attacked by the robots, with her companion trying to wake her up. Besides the composer, The Last Guardian even has a similar premise to Planet of Lana, where players are placed in the shoes of a protagonist accompanied by an animal companion. The difference being that Trico is a giant griffin-like beast, while Lana's cat-like creature is much smaller in comparison. The trailer shows that Planet of Lana has a lot of promise, thanks to its beautiful visuals being bolstered by Furukawa's intense orchestral score. The Last Guardian is a masterpiece, so the music in this game is gonna be godly. Moving forward, we have gotten looks at some of the biggest upcoming games, including Forspoken, a flashy new IP coming from Square Enix. Forspoken got a beefy trailer during the Game Awards. The trailer shows off some of Forspoken's narrative, combat, and more, as well as revealing Forspoken's release date as May 24, 2022. The trailer reveals that protagonist Fry Holland is being held by some sort of fantastical organization that believes she was involved in a sort of corruption event, though it doesn't dive too deeply into what, exactly, that will mean. The trailer mostly focuses on combat though, much like the other trailers have. Of course, fans have come to expect the flashy particle effects and bombastic visuals that have been featured so heavily in marketing material leading up to this point. It's clear that Forspoken will be a visually appealing game, as evidenced by set effects, and the environmental detail featured in footage up to this point. It certainly seems like it will manage to blend narrative and gameplay in a compelling way, but that remains to be seen. The trailer showcases several aspects of Forspoken, its characters, the enemies and Tanta's, Frey's amazing powers. It's one of my most anticipated games of 2022, made with the Luminous engine, published by Square Enix, and I hope Forspoken gets the mass appeal. "2022 is insanely stacked for PlayStation, as we have Saifu and Horizon Forbidden West in February, we have Gran Turismo 7 on March, Forspoken in May with God of War Ragnarok and Final Fantasy XVI just around the corner." Speaking of 2022 games, A Plague Tale Requiem, the next chapter of the series after A Plague Tale Innocence, unveils a stunning trailer at the Game Awards. 2 years ago, A Plague Tale Innocence was released and gained a bit of a cult following thanks to its frightening and harrowing atmosphere. A sequel to the game, A Plague Tale Requiem, was announced earlier this year at E3, with a targeted release of 2022. The main draw of A Plague Tale was its story, where it focused on a supernatural evil that hounded the two main characters within a historical setting. The story of A Plague Tale Requiem seems to be ramping up the stakes, as evidenced by a new gameplay trailer. After the original game's finale, players will still be trying to avoid the supernatural curse hounding the main characters. This new trailer shows off some of what to expect, with story beats and mechanics that are expanded upon from the previous game, where its gameplay elements were shown off in a spectacular way. This can be seen with the main character, Amisha Darun, exploring several different locales that are heavily based on historical European settings. This isn't just limited to typical marketplaces and castles, but also traversing the world by ships to cross vast oceans. This is strengthened by the voiceover monologue on the trailer, where the narrator references grieving a sailor. Combat of A Plague Tale Requiem was also shown off, where the player can engage in enemies from afar with a crossbow, or execute stealth melee attacks on unsuspecting enemies. Other set pieces included a sequence where players can shoot at enemies while going down a river on a boat, or exploring a dark dank cave filled with rats only lit by torches. Despite A Plague Tale Requiem's brighter world in comparison to Innocence, the story itself also seems to be going a bleaker path. Amisha is noting that she is starting to feeling her mind being lost to the supernatural force that she and her companion are pursued by. Other oppressing story beats are shown off in the trailer, from Amisha being chased and pinned down, to a terrifying infestation of rats pouring out from the castle walls and overwhelming them. The final shot of the trailer shows a frozen figure in a dark cave, giving players one last mystery to ponder on before the game's release. The game looks very good, I love the first one and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh no! What have you done?
For the second year in a row, Elden Ring won Most Anticipated Game at the Game Awards, solidifying its place as one of the most hyped games of the current and now next generation. TGA host Jeff Keighley was ready to welcome his small pot friend to the show to present a new trailer for Elden Ring. Those From Software fans who might be concerned about gameplay spoilers needn't worry, this trailer is comprised entirely of pre-rendered footage. In fact, it wouldn't be surprising to see this as the opening cinematic for Elden Ring when it finally releases in February. Beyond building on the hype for Elden Ring, the new CG trailer gives fans an overview of the history of the world in Elden Ring. It sets the stage with the mystery of who destroyed the eponymous Elden Ring and what compelled them to do so. In the game, the player character must try to unite the pieces of rebuild the Elden Ring, which is more like a crown, but they may find a darker secret along the way. Whatever the case may be, the Elden Ring's destruction set off a war that saw demigods waging battle between each other. As the trailer concludes, it showcases Nia wielding her massive sword in battle against another opponent, but the storyteller explains that their struggle is pointless. It's a common theme in From Software games, the futility of conflict, but the trailer concludes with a spark of hope. If the player character can succeed in their endeavors, they could change the current state of the world in Elden Ring. Although Elden Ring brought Game of Thrones writer George R.R. Martin to help give life to its world, this still feels very much in line with the From Software brand. Even the style of this trailer evokes a similar tone and style to trailers shown for the Dark Souls franchise. Large Gothic castles, massive creatures with unique designs, and a delicate female character pleading with the player to be this world's savior are all key indicators of a From Software game. Clearly, the developer knows what the fans want out of its games, and the fans are chomping at the bit to play Elden Ring, aside from graphical achievement. Hopefully, the February release date sticks. The month is packed with major game releases. My most anticipated for 2022 is God of War Ragnarok.
My daughter, a new threat comes to our shores, and I must call you home. Restore what has been broken. Unite old enemies. Forge new bonds. You are a hero, but you can be more. You can be a leader. You are Wonder Woman.
WB Games had the major presence at the Game Awards with Wonder Woman, The Matrix Awakens, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Lord of the Rings Gollum. And we are gonna take a look at each of those individually. For the past decade, Monolith Productions has worked on games set in the Lord of the Rings universe, releasing Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and Middle-earth Shadow of War to strong reviews. It's been 4 years since Monolith launched Middle-earth Shadow of War, and so fans have been wondering what the studio's been up to. While some may have assumed that Monolith was making a new Middle-earth game, it turns out the developer has been working on a game based on a DC Comics superhero. As announced at the Game Awards 2021, Monolith's next title is a Wonder Woman video game. The reveal trailer shows the titular Wonder Woman herself, decked out in her traditional armor and wielding her iconic lasso of truth. The Wonder Woman game reveal trailer doesn't reveal much beyond that, but additional details have been shared by Warner Bros. Interactive that paint a clearer picture of what the final product will be like. According to Warner Bros., the Wonder Woman game will be a single-player open-world game where players see Diana of Themyscira fight to unite her Amazon family and the humans from the modern world. The game will reportedly use Middle-earth's Nemesis system, so that Wonder Woman can forge deep connections with enemies and allies alike. Specific allies weren't named, and it's also unclear who the main villains will be in the Wonder Woman game. As for when more news on the Wonder Woman video game will come, that's up in the air. It seems like the Wonder Woman game would be an obvious pick for E3 2022 if Warner Bros. Interactive decides to expand its presence at the big show. Alternatively, it's easy to see Wonder Woman popping up at Summer Game Fest as well, especially since Summer Game Fest is run by Game Awards host Jeff Keighley. The other question is when exactly the Wonder Woman game will release. There was no release date or even a vague release window announced in the trailer, so it's anyone's guess as to when the Wonder Woman game will come out. The most likely scenario is that Wonder Woman won't release until 2023 at the very earliest, so fans shouldn't expect to get their hands on the game anytime soon. Even so, there are multiple other DC video game projects in active development for fans to check out while they wait for Wonder Woman. 2022 is expected to see the release of both Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, so those looking for more DC Comics-based video games to play have a lot to look forward to in 2022 and beyond. Superhero games are on the rise. Marvel games including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine are all in development, and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy just won Best Narrative at the Game Awards 2021. While it would seem that Marvel is dominating this style of game, DC also has some projects underway, including a new Wonder Woman game. Although there's not much known about Wonder Woman, which is being developed by Monolith Productions, Wonder Woman herself seems like the perfect protagonist for a new DC superhero game. She's a central figure in the DC mythos who will provide more than enough source material for her own game. Since Wonder Woman only just got announced, fans probably won't see any new trailers for the game in the near future. For now, the best way to imagine Wonder Woman is probably to consider Monolith Productions itself. Not to be confused with Sega and Xenoblade developer Monolith Soft, Monolith Productions has made a name for itself through its recent adaptations of lore from The Lord of the Rings. It's been a while since Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and its sequel released, but those games still attest to the kind of work that Monolith Productions might be capable of with Wonder Woman. Monolith isn't a particularly fast developer, often going multiple years between game releases, but it is a long-lived one. It got its start in the late 1990s, premiering with the well-received FPS Blood for PC and MS-DOS. It continued developing a variety of PC titles into the 2000s, earning some acclaim for the operative, No One Lives Forever, a stealth FPS with a 1960s aesthetic. Later in the 2000s, Monolith was also partially responsible for the creation of The Matrix Online, an MMORPG that canonically continued the story of the influential Matrix films. While these various projects earned the studio some attention, nothing would put Monolith in the spotlight in the same way as Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. In Shadow of Mordor and its sequel Middle-earth Shadow of War, players control the Ranger Talion and his ghostly possessor Celebrimbor, deceived creator of the Rings of Power, on their mutual quest for vengeance. Shadow of Mordor won a long list of awards, including Best Action/Adventure at the Game Awards 2014, with praise largely directed at its use of Lord of the Rings lore, diverse and gripping combat, and the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system promoted NPC enemies who performed well against the player into stronger units that the player could track and hunt down for increased rewards. These engaging mechanics and world building were hailed as a major innovation and inspired many other developers. Monolith Productions hasn't released anything new since Middle-earth, Shadow of War in 2017, so the Wonder Woman announcement is a big deal. Finally, fans have an idea of what the studio is working on. Although the details of Wonder Woman are still a mystery, it is reportedly an open-world action-adventure game, and it'll integrate the Nemesis system, which Monolith Productions' parent company Warner Bros. Interactive patented in early 2021. Comments from Monolith Productions suggest that Wonder Woman is meant to be focused on player-created experiences, similar to how Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War created stories based on player actions using the Nemesis system. Considering Monolith Productions' recent claim to fame, odds are good that Wonder Woman will serve as a spiritual successor to its Middle-earth games, adjusting many of its features for the DC Universe and Diana of Themyscira's unique abilities while still reflecting on Monolith's past successes. The Nemesis system and the Middle-earth titles are more than just Monolith's achievements now, as they're a crucial part of the studio's identity. Those games could shape Monolith's work for years to come. Players able to take control of such a powerful character should be squaring off in deadly encounters against worthy adversaries. Wonder Woman faces off against more than just human-sized enemies, coming face-to-face with monsters from ancient myth, towering creatures and freakish beasts. It may be wise for Monolith Productions to look for inspiration from other sources as well, namely how Kratos contends with his own slew of monstrous opponents in the God of War universe. Wonder Woman can do more than just beat bad guys to a pulp, with her many other attributes opening doors to other gameplay avenues as well. A skilled warrior with both a sword and bow, Monolith can incorporate different combat styles to take advantage of all of Wonder Woman's particular skills. If gamers are lucky, maybe the team will even throw in the invisible jet for extra good fun. When Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor was released in 2014, one of its most standout features was the Nemesis system. This original mechanic was subsequently patented by Warner Bros., which caused some controversy, but its inclusion in the upcoming Wonder Woman is certainly an interesting decision. The mechanic allows player decisions to directly impact the narrative in a unique way, as enemies evolve and develop throughout the game based on the protagonist's actions. As described by Monolith, the system is a collection of methods for managing non-player characters which are based on character hierarchies and individualized correspondences. In a nutshell, the Nemesis system ensures that any grunt, unimportant thug, or low-level bad guy has the chance to ascend the ranks and become a major thorn in the player's side. Within the Middle-earth games, Orc society is built in a specific hierarchy that meant that if an Orc killed the player, they would get promoted and start a potentially meteoric rise through the ranks to boss-level status. However, Orcs are also known for their infighting and internal rivalries, so not only would they attempt to take out the player, but they would also challenge each other to a fight to the death in order to get those coveted promotions. This meant that the enemy landscape was constantly evolving and changing, and no two games would be the same. As the Orcs move up the ranks, they become more powerful, and if one dies, then there is always another to take their place. Orcs that the player encounters will also remember exactly how that fight played out, including the keepsakes that the player may have left them with, such as specific scars or fears of things like fire, if that's how the player previously attacked them. Gamers are also encouraged to turn high-ranking Orcs against each other, so that they can work for them. Later in the game, players get the ability to brand Orcs and make them do their bidding, creating an army of infiltrators that can betray their factions and sow the seeds of dissent to topple leaders. The Nemesis system was arguably the best feature to come out of the Middle-earth games, and players have been keen to see its implementation in more titles since its debut. With Warner Bros. Confirming that the system will be a prominent feature in Wonder Woman, gamers have started to speculate about what this might mean for the DC hero and her upcoming game. Firstly, the Nemesis system creates a dynamic and versatile in-game world that truly allows players to have a hand in shaping their specific experience. The constantly shifting and evolving landscape of baddies mean that the game will have lots of replay value, with no two playthroughs turning out quite the same way. The Nemesis system also has interesting story implications for just who Diana will be going up against. Alongside potential Wonder Woman series staples like Cheetah and Cersei, gamers might be able to promote an otherwise inconsequential thug to supervillain status, a fun feature that always made the enemies of the Middle-earth games feel personal and weighty. This mechanic crafted genuinely interesting character arcs for enemies, outside of the main story. This is a great contrast to the endless nameless rabble that superheroes usually come up against in the form of henchmen when they're not dealing with the usual big names in the bad guy leagues. The ability for players to create their own nemesis also opens the door for much more meaningful and unique character interactions between Wonder Woman and her potential adversaries. Fights become more than just a series of brawls and chances for Diana to show off her signature fighting style, and weapons. Gamers get the chance to play out their own personal rivalries that they've helped to create. DC is known for its excellent villains, and it will be interesting to see how comic book thugs could compete and rise through the ranks of a criminal empire in Wonder Woman that would emulate the chaotic hierarchy of Orc society. With Warner Bros. Specifying that the Nemesis system in Wonder Woman will be about forging connections with both enemies and allies, players will no doubt be intrigued to see how this system will affect Diana's friends and crime-fighting partners. If other heroes are to feature, perhaps they will have a ranking system that they'll be navigating alongside the protagonist, with Diana's choices about who she takes on missions increasing their standing. Or perhaps a similar infiltration system will be in place like the branding mechanic in the Middle-earth games, with converts to Diana's cause able to act as moles in criminal and villainous organizations, and it is also confirmed as open world. There is still plenty to speculate about, and we will no doubt be eager for more news as the game continues to reveal its secrets over the coming months. The next WB banger is also from DC. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was officially unveiled last year at DC Fandom, but fans have had to wait for a long time to see gameplay. It was previously confirmed that Suicide Squad would be featured at the Game Awards, and developer Rocksteady has finally unveiled its first official gameplay trailer. Suicide Squad is an open-world action-adventure game set in Metropolis, and takes place after the events of Batman Arkham Knight. It has a big focus on co-op, but can also be played solo with AI partners. As the name suggests, the story revolves around killing members of the Justice League. Key members of the Justice League, including Superman and Green Lantern, are under Brainiac's control, and it now falls on the group of unlikely heroes to save the world. The trailer of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League begins by confirming that Flash has also been brainwashed, and players have been tasked with killing him. The video goes over some of the unique abilities of all 4 playable members of Suicide Squad: Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and King Shark. The action-packed trailer gives a glimpse of the sheer variety of weapons and moves available to the group, before ending with what looked like a final confrontation with Flash. It looks like Suicide Squad offers a ton of movement options that will allow players to quickly traverse the open world. Deadshot is able to hover and fire at enemies at the same time, while Harley Quinn gets a grapple hook, which seems to be a part of every new release these days. Similarly, both Captain Boomerang and King Shark are able to use their abilities to smoothly move from place to place. This trailer should ease some concerns that arose due to lack of gameplay footage from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The combat looks fast-paced and frantic, while the traversal abilities will help in quickly moving between encounters. It looks like all members will have their own unique playstyle, and fans can choose between whoever resonates with them the most. This is a big plus for all solo players, as they can freely switch between all of the playable characters. The Flash also made an appearance in the story trailer of Suicide Squad, which was released at DC Fandom 2021. There have been some truly memorable boss fights in the Arkham, and it will be interesting to see how Rocksteady designs an encounter against Flash. Looking at the team-based action in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it brings to mind another team-based comic book game that has had its own struggles with some mechanics. Marvel's Avengers, while not as colorfully loud as Suicide Squad, has the same basic premise of getting multiple comic characters together to take out bad guys. Where Suicide Squad already seems to excel, however, is in its movement systems, an area which Marvel's Avengers has struggled with since launch. Considering Suicide Squad still doesn't have a solid release date, it's worth looking at how it already fixes one of Avengers' biggest problems. One of the many issues with Marvel's Avengers has been how it characterizes Marvel's biggest heroes. While things like the characters' physical appearances have been pored over more than enough times, there is also a certain shortcoming in how each hero moves. While there is some personality in characters like Kamala Khan or the Hulk, Captain America, and Hawkeye seem generic by comparison. Running and jumping animations can be rather forgettable, and they often don't convey the sense of personality behind many of the game's heroes. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's movement is in stark contrast to Marvel's Avengers, as it seems conveying personality through movement was at the top of the game's list. In almost everything each member of Task Force X does, there is a reflection of their unique proclivities and comic history. From Harley Quinn's head-first dive off of buildings, to King Shark's beastly charge towards enemies, all of it combines to make each character feel unique from one another. Gamers will be able to fully embody whoever they play, instead of going between varying Avengers with one unique weapon and a different coat of paint. At the center of Marvel's Avengers movement issues is how the game is laid out to begin with. Much of its levels are made up of either closed environments, or natural areas that are only made up of forests or generally rocky terrain. As a result, there isn't much verticality to the overall game, and getting from point A to point B doesn't take much effort other than moving a hero forward. If it couldn't get worse, when Avengers does try to add some speed or verticality to its movement, like with the Spider-Man DLC, the systems in place have no sense of momentum and just feel clunky. As far as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is concerned, it already seems like it has figured out a clear sense of speed and verticality to its movement. The setting of Metropolis is a great help towards accomplishing this, as the tight city blocks allow characters like Deadshot to scale buildings quickly with his jetpack, and weave through alleyways to take out Brainiac's minions. Each of Suicide Squad's characters seem built around fluid, responsive movement, built to perfectly suit the dense environment that Rocksteady has created. While the combat in Marvel's Avengers can be satisfying, there is often a clear disconnect between the game's movement and combat mechanics. Aside from the run-of-the-mill sprint attack, much of the game's fighting consists of players running up to enemies and beating on them till their health drops to zero. There's a real lack of fluidity compared to other Marvel games like Insomniac's Spider-Man franchise, and it leaves little room for players to mix up gameplay by combining dynamic movement with overall combat. When it comes to Suicide Squad's immediate combat impressions, it seems that players will never stop moving when in any given fight. Rocksteady seems to have taken a clear approach towards making the traversal work hand in hand with combat to ensure every scenario is as engaging as possible. Captain Boomerang in particular seems like a character that is meant to speed around combat arenas using a variety of teleports and slides, allowing players to chain together unique moves with their attacks. With such a wide range of combat and traversal possibilities, it seems players would be hard-pressed to run out of new ways to play. After so much time spent under wraps, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has truly impressed with its first gameplay trailer. All of the dynamic action that Rocksteady is known for can be seen throughout, and there is a clear sense of the frenetic action that the game is going for. Marvel's Avengers has certainly been a cautionary tale for many games within the greater industry, and when it comes to creating engaging traversal, it seems that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has thoroughly learned from that lesson. Co-op is great, but I prefer to play solo most of the time, and I am gonna explore each and every character much like in Gotham Knights. And the game looks a hella fun, and it reminds me of Sunset Overdrive.
Really thought Flasher had us that
The Lord of the Rings Gollum has previously shown brief snippets of gameplay, as well as cinematic moments. Non-playable characters such as Gandalf are set to appear in some capacity, but the prominent feature of the game seems to be its choice-based mechanics that alter actions and craft Gollum's narrative. The Game Awards announced that the Lord of the Rings Gollum would make an appearance, setting the stage for the awards show to include something more from Daedalic Entertainment and Nacon. The Lord of the Rings Gollum's appearance at the Game Awards has shown a new cinematic trailer that centers on the game's conflicted protagonist. Gollum is seen stealthily attacking an orc before he contends with his own corrupted dual personality about whether or not to attack an oncoming group of orcs who hear the commotion. Gollum then pushes a lever that drops a cauldron of suspended lava on them, giving into his more violent and vengeful psyche. This cinematic trailer does not reveal new information, though it does suggest some of the choice-based features that may determine the player's actions in the Lord of the Rings Gollum. Players may expect to see actions similar to these throughout the game as they stealthily advance past orc hordes or, if players so choose, it seems as though choices will determine how hostile Gollum can be. This suggests that players can move more passively as the timid Smeagol, or inflict harm and anger as the hateful Gollum. The game is also seemingly given a new subtitle that addresses it as The Untold Story, signifying it further as a narrative set in Middle-earth that fans of Tolkien's Legendarium may not be aware of for the character. Indeed, The Lord of the Rings, Gollum original narrative is confirmed to follow events players and fans have not seen before, which is sure to shed light upon Gollum's treacherous journey through the depths of Mordor. There has not been given a confirmed release date apart from the Lord of the Rings Gollum's delayed release window announcement. But with each new trailer and batch of information, I become more excited to see what the game has in store when it eventually releases next year. When it comes to groundbreaking entertainment, the Matrix franchise pioneered a lot in terms of visual effects and technology. Marking a huge shift for special effects in film, as well as how action was stylized in film, its influence could also be seen in the world of gaming. Now, with the release of The Matrix Resurrections just around the corner, a new tech demo for Unreal Engine 5 called The Matrix Awakens has been made available for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. After it was teased a few days ago, Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss took to the stage at the Game Awards 2021 to officially unveil The Matrix Awakens, and confirm that it is available to download for free now. While not technically a full playable game, The Matrix Awakens still represents a jump in graphical fidelity and technical capabilities for the future of gaming. Using Unreal Engine 5, the tech demo shows off what the next few years of gaming can potentially be, and the future looks exciting. The Matrix Awakens isn't the first time gamers have gotten a glimpse into what Unreal Engine 5 can do. Last year, Epic Games, the developer of Unreal Engine, showed off what its latest iteration of the engine could do running in real time on a PlayStation 5 with a lengthy, detailed video showed off advancements made to textures, particle effects, lighting and character animations. The fantasy-themed adventure style wasn't for a particular game, but the elements shown off within teased numerous things that could easily be imagined in other established franchises. The seamless climbing animations are right at home in Uncharted, while its environments could be put to great use in a future open-world action game. The Unreal Engine 5 demo pushed boundaries, with Epic Games flexing the muscle of its new software. As the years go on, developers will only get a better grasp of this technology to deliver even bigger and better experiences, the likes of which people could have only dreamed of years ago. Providing another taste of what its powerful new game engine can do, Unreal Engine 5 is the fuel upon which The Matrix Awakens runs. The Matrix has dipped its toes into interactive entertainment in the past, but the technology to accurately deliver the insane action sequences its series is known for wasn't quite there yet. Enter The Matrix and The Matrix Path of Neo were decent efforts for their time, but obviously pale in comparison to the films that inspired them. As gaming tech improved, even more cinematic experiences like the aforementioned Uncharted series began to inch closer to blurring this line. Now, The Matrix Awakens seems to have stepped over that threshold of delivering a truly cinematic gaming experience. Technically speaking, there isn't much in the way of actual gameplay in this free demo, with a few context-sensitive moments and playful tools to manipulate the game engine, but it's the promise of what is possible that is most intriguing. Video games have come a long way since their humble beginnings with the likes of Pong and Pac-Man. With each passing generation, technology moves further into impressive new territory, allowing for even more polished, immersive games. Part cinematic, part playable experience, the demo was created by members of the original The Matrix movie team, including Lana Wachowski, James McTeague, and John Gaeta, in collaboration with teams across both Epic Games and partners. The cinematic element features digital replicas of Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss as incredibly realistic digital humans. Then, the demo morphs into an interactive experience of car chases and fast-paced third-person shooter action. These sequences are completely dynamic. The world responds to you in a fully unscripted way. That's down to Chaos, Unreal Engine's high-performance physics system that can deliver cinematic quality levels of destruction in real time and simulate the movement of cloth, hair, vehicles, and more. The team used Sequencer to script the car chase in the demo. They were able to use the simulated universe to explore different creative options for the cinematic content, with crew members driving cars around the virtual city to capture exciting shots. This process mirrored the way live-action movie makers will scout a city to find the best streets to tell their story, but without the physical constraints of the real world. The Matrix Awakens, an Unreal Engine 5 experience, is designed to take full advantage of PS5's technology, including the superfast SSD drive, CPU, GPU, alongside console ray tracing. To do that, they've built a vast, 16 kilometers square open-world city, comprised of 7,000 buildings made of thousands of modular pieces, each of those constructed of millions of triangles and enhanced with props, signage, debris, and more. There are 1,248 simulated intersections, 45,073 parked cars, of which 38,146 are drivable, over 260 km of roads, and 512 kilometers of sidewalk. This huge, dynamic environment is incredibly rich, complex, and photoreal. It's made up of billions of polygons that are streamed by Nanite, UE5's virtualized micro-polygon geometry system, and processed by PS5's powerful CPU and GPU to deliver an incredibly high level of detail and visual fidelity. A powerful procedural audio generation system simulates the noise of being in a busy city, heightening the sense of presence in the environment. The result is an interactive experience that is immensely powerful, immersive, and photorealistic. Packed with believable characters and drivable vehicles, you can explore the city on foot, hop in a vehicle, or fly around with a drone's eye view. The demo represents a new bar in quality for interactive content, both richer and more engaging. Its characters and traffic are not just generated spontaneously depending on where the player is looking, they are actors in a global simulation that is constantly evaluated. In short, they exist whether you are looking at them or not. This means the people and vehicles in the experience act in a much more believable way. The environment also feels real in a way that interactive experiences up to this point have not, thanks to new UE5 technologies that dynamically process everything in real time rather than serving up visuals that have been pre-computed offline, as has typically been the case up until now. Lumen is a case in point. This powerful global illumination lighting system brings the fidelity of indirect lighting, such as reflections from mirrored or wet surfaces, closer to the physical world than ever before. Because Lumen renders in real time, you can adjust the lighting in the experience by moving the sun to any angle and seeing the effect instantly. There's even an experimental night mode hidden in the experience for you to discover. To give the sense of a living, breathing metropolis, tens of thousands of ultra-realistic digital characters populate the city, driven by a sophisticated AI system. The Matrix Awakens, an Unreal Engine 5 experience, showcases what the next generation of interactive experiences will offer: vast open worlds, ever more engaging action, and levels of graphical realism that can match that of cinematic content. The Matrix Awakens, while not a full game, makes a strong case for what the coming years will offer for those interested in interactive entertainment once Unreal 5 is more readily used. This demo looks absolutely fantastic, and I want to put some things in perspective. Each generation since the arrival of PlayStation into the gaming space, their first-party studio managed to outdo everyone in competition. Same thing happened with last gen with God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, and The Last of Us Part 2. Of course, you have beautiful Unreal Engine 4 games like Days Gone, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Hellblade 1, but the games I mentioned prior was way better in scope, granular details, and in innovative gameplay. After looking at these Unreal Engine 5 demos, I am 100% confident that Santa Monica Studio, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, Insomniac, and Sucker Punch will surpass this, and when we look at the Marvel Spider-Man 2 in-game footage, it looks like we are closer than ever. And PlayStation First Party will outdo Unreal Engine 5, like as they always does. Up next, we have a look at the new Sonic. The Sonic the Hedgehog franchise celebrates its 30th anniversary this year, and the Blue Blur decided to end 2021 with a bang. Alongside the first trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, fans were finally given a taste of what the game that was once known as Sonic 2022 was really like. Sonic Frontiers is now revealed formally, complete with a brand new trailer. Sonic Frontiers was revealed as part of the Sonic Central livestream held back in May. The teaser trailer captured many fans' attention as it featured a new pink-tinted running power for Sonic, as well as a mysterious glyph. While there have been many rumors circulating the title ever since the vague reveal, fans of the Blue Hedgehog can now have a clearer image of what to expect with the future game. The trailer showcases CGI animation that many Sonic trailers have been known for before, giving fans a look at the game's gorgeous location, the Starfall Islands. The islands are shown in-engine, leaving a great first impression while confirming the rumors that the game is open world. The trailer ends with Sonic face-to-face with a giant robot that scales to a size the Hedgehog has never faced before, with possible implications players may fight it by running all across it. While the game is still in development, and no clear gameplay has been shown yet, the head of Sonic Team has described Sonic Frontiers to be like Sonic Adventure in terms of what it's going to bring to the series and set as its new foundation. Whatever Frontiers has in store seems to set the tone for Sonic games going forward. The idea of Sonic being mainly open world after Frontiers seems like a bold move. However, considering the series' many missteps in recent years, some fans being hesitant to welcome the next title would be understandable. Longtime Sonic the Hedgehog comics writer, Ian Flynn, will be handling Sonic Frontiers' narrative. Ian Flynn has been a part of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise since 2006, making his writing debut with the 160th issue of the Sonic Archie comics. Ever since then, he's been the chief writer of the comics for the past 15 years, even continuing into the current Sonic IDW comics after the Archie run was cancelled. Fans were teased Abu Flynn's involvement shortly before the Game Awards revealed Sonic Frontiers, but recent tweets confirmed that he'll have a hand in writing the game's narrative. He however didn't go into the specifics of what he has written for Frontiers, noting he is under an NDA with Saga. Despite that, however, many longtime Sonic fans were excited to hear that Flynn will be one of the game's writers, considering his past and current Sonic stories. Fans expressed their well wishes and thanks to Flynn when the announcement went public. Many fans are aware that Flynn is a big longtime fan of the Blue Blur, so getting the chance to not only work on the story of the comics, but now Sonic Frontiers is a big honor. While some fans are a little bit cautious going into this game since not much about the gameplay has been shown yet, others are hyped to see a writer who has been a big part of the franchise take the narrative reins. The other information Sonic Frontiers has given to those curious enough to find it can be found on the game's official website and Steam page, as well as in the YouTube description of the trailer, and even posted by those working on the game on social media. All of the information together paints a rather interesting picture for the game going forward, and this is only the start as more info for the game is set to come out over the next year. In a press release, the plot of the latest Sonic game has already been shared. The story opens up with the series antagonist Dr. Eggman finding an ancient technology on the islands shown in the trailer, the Starfall Islands. As per games like Sonic Adventure, he decides to take this technology himself, and uses a new AI he created known as Sage to do so. As the AI hacks into the old tech, something goes horribly wrong, and it's up to Sonic to fix it. The end of the summary reads Sonic must race against time to discover the truth, save his friends, and maybe even save himself at the same time. This sets up a rather interesting and seemingly dark premise to the age-old story that Sonic has always been about nature versus technology. While previous games have been criticized for being unable to handle dark narratives in the past, fans can rest assured that this title will deliver on its promises. Series veteran Ian Flynn has confirmed that Sonic Frontiers is his first debut writing for a Sonic game. Ian Flynn is best known for penning the story found in both the Archie comics and IDW's Sonic comic books to this day, as well as brief stints writing for the Sonic Boom TV show. Ian's storylines have always kept the Sonic series light-hearted and true to its nature, but have never strayed away from handling darker themes such as Eggman becoming insane in a climactic milestone issue and more. Many Sonic fans have already been impressed by the ambient soundtrack heard in Frontiers' new trailer, which definitely does its job in setting up the Hedgehog's brand new adventure with vocalizations to match the dilapidated and ancient setting of the Starfall Islands. While this is only a teaser trailer, there may be a chance that may be a core part of Frontiers' soundtrack, especially since the YouTube description reveals it was a collaboration between two series veterans. Found in the description of the official Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel's upload, the trailer music was made by T. Lopez and Tomoya Otani. Many Sonic fans should recognize these names, as T. Lopez was once a famous fan remixer who was brought in to work on Sonic Mania, continuing to apply his talents to other Sonic titles since. Tomoya Otani has been working with Sonic Team for far longer. He most recently worked on Sonic Colors Ultimate's remixed soundtrack, with his oldest contribution to the series going as far back as Sonic Adventure 2. T. Lopez has said on social media that he's skipping out on Frontiers. Otani has told fans to keep listening to him in 2022, which seems to suggest his music is in the game. Once again, almost hidden in plain sight, the official Sonic the Hedgehog site and Steam page list a small summary of what fans can expect when they pick this game up, which touts it as an experience like never before. This little description is what gives fans the name of the location seen in the trailer, Starfall Islands, and also says that the islands are home to dense forests, overflowing waterfalls, sizzling deserts, and more. On top of that, it also says fans will experience open zone freedom, instead of declaring the game open world. This is one of the more interesting bits of Frontiers so far. The use of open zone should get many Sonic fans excited, as zone is a word often used for Sonic levels, particularly with the 2D titles. When thinking about the connotations of the word zone, when thinking of places like Green Hill Zone, this gives fans more perspective to how the game most likely intends to operate. Instead of being fully open world, the game will feature numerous areas that aren't constrained by usual Sonic level designs of trying to find capsules or goal rings. The idea of getting to explore numerous sprawling open world-esque zones should excite many Sonic fans. Sega has also revealed a few more names on Frontier's staff, such as Sachiko Kawamura as a producer on the title, and Morio Kishimoto as the director. Morio Kishimoto has been working on the Sonic series for over 10 years, and made his directorial debut with Sonic Lost World. Sachiko Kawamura, however, has been with the series since the 90s and has served numerous roles. She most commonly has been an art director, starting with Sonic Unleashed and consistently playing the role since Sonic Generations. While she hasn't produced a title for the series before, she has supervised a few, and is also the person responsible for how cute the Chow creatures are. The last detail known about Frontiers currently is that fans wondering who is speaking to Sonic in the trailer have an answer in the form of official captions. In both Japanese and English captions for the trailer, they reveal that the voice is none other than Amy Rose, Sonic's self-appointed girlfriend. While it isn't known what role she plays just yet, the plot summary implies that once again Sonic has to save his friends from danger as part of the story. For such a small reveal, there's plenty of information for fans to think on and speculate until more news comes out, and until then, we can use these details to hold on to our excitement.
The land is dying, and the machines are out of control. Whatever comes, I will be ready.
And now we are getting into the most phenomenal showing at the Game Awards, Horizon Forbidden West. The gameplay trailer shows off Aloy in a variety of challenging situations, coming at each one full force with her vast arsenal of weapons. The trailer is mind-blowing and fast-paced, and it builds up some more excitement for the upcoming game. Luckily, there's not much longer until we get our hands on Horizon Forbidden West. Slated to release in February, Horizon is just a little over 2 months away, barring any delays on the project. Sony has taken special care to showcase just how vibrant and bold the new game will be versus the last one, which is pretty impressive considering how well received the original was. Despite clocking in at a runtime of barely over a minute, the latest look at Guerrilla Games' open-world sequel managed to rattle through a remarkable amount of mouth-watering content in that time. While the army of shiny new robots that will be antagonizing Aloy throughout Horizon Forbidden West were arguably the biggest aspect of the trailer, both literally and conceptually, the teaser also revealed a lot about the gear that players will be using to fight these new foes. The sheer diversity of Aloy's expanded arsenal stood out in particular, with there now seemingly being a new weapon at the player's disposal for every conceivable scenario. After landing devastating blows with her returning hunter bow and spear, both of which have received rejuvenating upgrades in the sequel, the first truly new weapon that Aloy utilizes within the gameplay trailer appears to be some form of orange impact grenade. Despite having access to multiple bomb-throwing weapons within Horizon Forbidden West, such as the returning grenade launcher-esque blast sling, Aloy can now seemingly throw miniaturized explosives from her own two hands as well. It's possible that the throwable weapon might actually be linked to the launcher, as it appears as though the hunter is carrying one in her other unused hand. Hitting the R2 fire button without aiming, for example, could now potentially allow Aloy to lob the ammunition herself. Back during the Horizon Forbidden West state of play that Sony held in the summer, Aloy was also briefly shown throwing a new smoke bomb at a group of raptor-like clawstriders in a similar manner. Therefore, confirmation that the hunter's arsenal now extends to other miniature grenade types as well isn't all that surprising, regardless of how players access them. What remains to be seen now is just how deep Aloy's pockets go. With this new grenade stunning all of the unfortunate machines it touches, it's conceivable that there's options which freeze, shock, and burn enemies as well, though this is purely speculation. Even though it's been described by Guerrilla Games primarily as a gadget-like tool that enhances Aloy's traversal abilities within Horizon Forbidden West, the pullcaster that was shown within the Game Awards trailer could theoretically end up having combat potential as well. Right now it's only been confirmed that the wrist-mounted device can be used as a grappling hook and winch. Technically speaking though, it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination to envision the pullcaster also being able to pull off and manipulate parts of antagonistic machines as well. In general, it appears as though a lot of Aloy's gadgets might theoretically have secret weaponized support roles within combat scenarios. It could end up being rather telling, for example, that the Nora Hunter is seen momentarily gliding past a flock of flying pterosaur-like robots within the exquisitely filmed one-shot-esque trailer. There's a chance that the new Shield Wing glider could be used in some way to wrangle airborne foes into highly requested flyable mounts, a feature that could leave players blown away. In a tweet from December 10th, Guerrilla unveiled the name of another one of the terrifying machines found in the beautiful world of Horizon Forbidden West. Known as the Tidripper, this new robot seemed to have an affinity for water. According to the note from the developer, it was an acquisition machine constructed to filter sediment to find valuable materials. However, the developer cautioned that the creature was equally efficient as a predator, revealing that it was dangerous on land and in water. In addition to this new detailed description, the developer of Horizon Forbidden West included a short video showing the machine in action. Based on the footage, the monster appeared to have powerful jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth. Furthermore, it had a streamlined body perfect for cutting through the water to reach targets quickly. This was illustrated in the video as it darted at Aloy, narrowly missing its attack. While a lot of the marketing for Horizon Forbidden West has understandably focused on the larger enemies that are set to enhance the action RPG's gameplay, we shouldn't overlook the smaller ones that have often been hidden in plain sight. Based on what's been shown of the sequel so far, it appears as though these miniaturized weapons will have a significant impact on the fundamental ways in which players are able to approach different scenarios. During the game's short and sweet time in the Game Awards spotlight, for example, Aloy can be seen setting up what appears to be a new type of floating incendiary mine. As a charging shell snapper hurtles towards the screen during the trailer, one trap detonates, subsequently creating an explosion that stops the machine in its tracks. From the cheeky glimpse that Guerrilla Games has provided of this process being set up, it appears as though there will be an assortment of new and returning traps for players to experiment with. In total, 5 can already be seen on the glowing weapon wheel that Aloy interacts with, including the returning shock, blast, and detonating traps. One new trap appears to show 2 arrows pointing down, which could theoretically allow players to pin a machine to the ground, similarly to how the ropecaster functioned within the original Horizon game. During the closing moments of Horizon Forbidden West's Game Awards trailer, Aloy can be seen facing off against a giant imposing robotic snake. As the serpent flares up to attack, the teaser cuts away for the first time to show the hunter preparing to launch a giant javelin-shaped weapon. Dubbed the Spike Thrower by Guerrilla Games, this brand new ranged weapon is particularly effective against larger enemy types. Back in June's State of Play showcase, for example, the Spike Thrower's ability to deal large amounts of damage whilst shredding parts of a machine was demonstrated on a somewhat unfortunate mammoth-like tremor tusk. The Cobra Snake got me more excited through the roof, as the options for a boss battle like that is immense, and I also predict that God of War Ragnarok will also have a serpent aside from Jormungandr. Hopefully, the new game will be just as impactful as the first one was, as 2022 will be full of competition for Horizon to square off with. The machines in Horizon Zero Dawn were amazing, but Forbidden West has already expanded upon the existing catalog in a huge way. Many of the machines from Zero Dawn will be returning, but we have already seen a total of 10 new machines in the combined game footage and trailers. Guerrilla is probably keeping the best surprises hidden, which says a lot about the machines still to come. The new Forbidden West machines are diverse, however. There's a huge focus on reptiles this time around, and they look like they could be the showstoppers. Out of all the machines revealed so far, the Cobra might be the most visually impressive so far. The smooth animation of the mechanical snake wrapping around a ruined tower is stunning, and it's significantly different from any machine in the Horizon series so far. Cobras are known for their speed, and the attack range of this giant snake is probably insane, so this may be one of the most lethal machines in Forbidden West. In other words, bring it on. With at least 6 reptilian machines confirmed to be appearing in Forbidden West, half of those are directly inspired by dinosaurs. Most Horizon Zero Dawn machines can point to a specific animal as their inspiration. For example, the Sawtooth resembles a tiger and the Corruptor looks a lot like a scorpion. There are actually very few machines in Horizon Zero Dawn that were inspired by dinosaurs. Most were actually inspired by mammals, but that didn't stop Horizon Zero Dawn from earning a reputation as an RPG where players fight robot dinosaurs. It's half true, with Thunderjaws being vaguely similar to a Tyrannosaurus Rex and Watchers somewhat resembling small theropod dinosaurs, but Forbidden West's dinosaur inspiration is much clearer. It seems like Forbidden West has taken that association in stride by giving players some actual robotic dinosaurs to battle amongst some more current reptiles. The location for Forbidden West also makes a lot of sense when it comes to the reptilian emphasis. Horizon Forbidden West takes place on the west coast of the former United States, so Aloy will be spending a lot of time near the ocean or other bodies of water. A lot of reptiles typically live near bodies of water, such as alligators, snakes, and lizards, so that could be a reason why there are more of these types. It's a different environment, and different environments require different machines with unique contributions to the ecosystem. There's definitely a lot to look forward to in Forbidden West, but so far the reptilian machines are stealing the show. Out of all the machines, they feel more fresh and new, and they'll bring fans dreams of fighting actual robot dinosaurs to life in ways Horizon Zero Dawn never did. With Horizon Forbidden West's launch still a couple of months away, there's ample time for Guerrilla to showcase even more machines, or just leave them as surprises. Curiosity has always been one of the biggest motivators in Horizon, and there's nothing quite like encountering a new machine in the wild, so Guerrilla won't want to spoil that for fans. Horizon Forbidden West is scheduled to release on February 18, 2022 on PS4 and PS5, and it's gonna be one hell of a ride. And finally we are gonna talk about the heart piece of the show, the Game Awards. While there are plenty of prestigious awards given out during the Game Awards, perhaps the most acclaimed is the award for Game of the Year. 2021's nominees were packed with hits, but in the end, It Takes Two ran away with the category, a surprising when given the caliber of its competition. Although many viewers were shocked by the game's win, It Takes Two is a deserving winner, and hopefully it inspires other titles to lean away from what's popular and into more unique ideas and far-out concepts. It Takes Two won 3 awards last night: Best Family Game, Best Multiplayer Game, and, of course, Game of the Year. While it was a major contender for Best Family and Multiplayer Game, it seemed like Hazelight Studios' most recent title was fighting an uphill battle to win Game of the Year given its differences from the rest of the nominees as a brand new co-op-based IP. Now that it has won, however, its merits as a game are shining brighter than ever, and there are some clear reasons why It Takes Two, above all the other titles, was recognized by the Game Awards as the best game of the year. Co-op multiplayer-focused games are a dying breed in the games industry, with competitive multiplayer titles being far more popular. While that isn't inherently a bad thing, it does make it harder for fans of co-op games to find new titles to pick up each year, but luckily Hazelight Studios has doubled down on its devotion to co-op since its recent titles are unplayable without a partner. It Takes Two leans heavily into its co-op nature in a way that few other games have done, constantly forcing players to work together with contrasting but complementary abilities that are frequently changing up the gameplay in unique ways. Although It Takes Two could generally be described as a puzzle platformer, the actual tasks that players are given to do are so varied that it would be hard to nail down every genre that the game could fall into. In that regard, It Takes Two was unlike anything else nominated for Game of the Year 2021, giving it an edge to stand out. Additionally, its status as the only co-op title listed in the nominees means that its experience is completely different from the rest of the single-player titles that were nominated. One area where It Takes Two falters in comparison to its competition was certainly the story. The game's premise is solid enough. A couple on the brink of divorce is shrunk down to a miniature size and needs to overcome their differences to return to their normal bodies and reunite with their daughter. However, it never delivers properly on it due to the game's writing. It doesn't give a realistic look at divorce or true relationship problems, but throughout its 10 to 15 hour playtime, It Takes Two certainly delivers on some specific character moments that are highlights of the overall forgettable story. While the writing is poor and doesn't properly portray marital issues, the true story of It Takes Two isn't the narrative being told on screen. Instead, it is the story told by those playing it. Often, players completely ignore the cutscenes in favor of spending more time playing the various mini-games and seeing just how many items they're able to interact with, causing many players to walk away from It Takes Two with new, special memories with whoever they played it with. It's for this reason that It Takes Two stands out among better-written games, as it is a more memorable experience that will likely be talked about for years to come by those who've enjoyed it together. My personal game of the year is Returnal, and it got snubbed for many categories. Returnal won the Best Action Game award, and I am happy with that. It will certainly leverage the confidence of Housemarque. Kena Bridge of Spirits also won 2 awards, for Best Indie and Best Debut Indie Game. Ember deserved that, and I cannot wait to see what their next project is. Okay, now all things aside, the biggest thing that bothers me is that Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart got no awards at this particular show. Insomniac games have been ignored year after year, the games they put out, and their level of quality are one of the best. And the animation and graphical quality, and showcasing next gen with the riffs and audio design, this game definitely deserved to be Game of the Year. But it got robbed out of all. My pick of awards for this year is Ratchet for Best Action Adventure, Best Art Style, and Game of the Year. Returnal for Best Audio Design, and at the end of the day it is one of the award show. Ratchet already won 2 Game of the Year awards at other award shows and Returnal won 1, and many other awards. So, we will see who get the most, and be claimed as the most awarded Ultimate Game of the Year. There are some pretty interesting showings such as Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie trailer, Halo TV series trailer, and the live performance for Horizon Forbidden West. Overall the show was a 5 out of 10 for me, as there are a lot of dragging stuff, and it's a solid one. The biggest surprise in the show is Wonder Woman. And that's all for the video guys, like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV, it's goodbye.